Hello, I'm Scott Bogey here with Lewis Byrne ahead of his pro debut against AJ Ganna. How are you feeling today?
Feeling good, Scott. Thanks for having me on.
And how has the training camp been for this upcoming fight?
Yeah, it's been going good. Um, I've been in and out of training camps all year without fights, fights falling apart, fights just not going ahead. So, I've been constantly on the ball training, not really, taking me foot off the gas. So it's been a long time coming this year, but the last 6 or 8 weeks where I spent in this camp's been gone really good. I've no injuries. I'm feeling strong. And like cardio endurance is good, so I'm feeling pretty fit. I can't wait to get in there now in 2 weeks.
Exactly. And was these fights that fell apart, were they pro fights or were they still amateur?
Yeah, these are pro fights. Earlier on in the year, I think it was Clan Wars maybe 47 or 48. I was scheduled to fight a guy, and then week of the fight after doing the whole camp, he wasn't able to get into the country due to some visa issue. So, I was a bit disappointed doing the full camp, getting ready after all those weeks, the 6 or 7 weeks I spent in camp at the beginning of the year. But I didn't lose anything. I honed my own skills, and I learned about myself and improved as a fighter for those 6 or 7 weeks for that camp. So nothing lost in that camp, just a bit unfortunate that I didn't go ahead.
Exactly. And is there any nerves set coming in for this fight or are you calm, cool, collected?
Yeah, no, there's no nerves. I'm excited. I can't wait to get in there. It's been about a year since I was in the cage last now when I'm fighting in 2 weeks time. I'm looking to get back in there and having fun in the cage. Coming out with the win, putting on a good performance, a good show, and for all my support, all my friends and family coming up and make myself proud as well with my performance.
Exactly. And what's the reason for turning pro? Was it a coach's decision? You just thought you've done everything in an amateur, now time to go pro? Were you struggling to find competition? Or what was the reason?
Do you know, Scott, like for the last couple of amateur fights in my amateur career, I was fighting and like I was 17, 18, 19 fights in and like it just wasn't feeling the same for me, like they were still super high level fights, but I wanted that extra little bit, that extra little, I don't know, what would you even call it? That next level. I was looking for that next level, and that next level is the pro scene.
Yeah.
So it's been something I've been working toward for a long, long time. Like I said, I've countless amateur fights in Ireland, the UK, all over the world. Multi-day tournaments, shows in other countries. So like I have a lot of experience garnered all over the place on different shows. So look, this is just the next step, and it's the first step in a long, long journey that I can't wait to start.
And you have gone through the weight classes. You've done lightweight, you've done featherweight. This fight is obviously at featherweight. Is that your designated weight class? Was it just whenever they asked you to weigh in, lightweight was just a better weight at that point?
Yeah, like I fought most of my fights. I think at featherweight at 66 kilos. A lot of the shows that were like day before weigh-ins and stuff like that. Most of my lightweight fights would have been like day of
Yeah.
competitions, multi-day competitions, things like that. So look, most of the fighters who are fighting at that amateur level, at 66, they're usually like they're walking around at like 75. They're 70 kilo fighters they have, So 66 was a no-brainer for me. I feel strong. I can make the weight easy, and I don't lose any me performance or any me skill set when I drop down to 66. So I'm happy at that way.
And were you practicing for the stuff from pros when you were still an amateur? Like obviously your 5 minute round instead of three, you can use the elbows now. Were you still practicing that in the training?
Yeah, come here. I think at that like that sort of latter stage of the amateur level, in the UK and Ireland, all the lads there are good enough to be pros. So like, and all
Yeah.
the lads are training like pros as well. So the only big difference would be now like using the elbows, using the knees to the head and stuff, and a couple of different submissions on the ground as well. So like the style of training remains the same. It's just a couple of extra new tools, and obviously, you're training towards those 5 minute rounds as well. So there's that as well. But I've been in my mind, I've been training like a pro for the last 2 or 3 years anyway.
And obviously you do train at I think it's Team Rhino MMA. It's
Yeah.
been a big year for you guys. How was it back at Cage Warriors Dublin when James Sheenan was able to get that Cage Warriors title for your gym?
Ah man, it was an unbelievable night. I think I was waterloading for my own fight at the time, so I couldn't really go out with the lads and enjoy it after. But yeah, it was a great night for the club, great night for the gym. I think we came out with, I think 4 for 4 we went on that night, 3 for 3 or
Yeah.
4 for 4, whatever we had on the night. Of course, James getting the title, big James. Uh, couldn't be more prouder of him, and just really, setting the tone for the club, setting the tone for the level that we have in the gym. It's such a good pedigree in the gym. We have the likes of James up there, we have Jira Harris, we have Sol, all super high level guys who I'm getting really good rounds with day in day out. We're really pushing each other, really improving each other as well. So it's great having that level in the club, and it's great getting to see the lads perform and succeed on that big stage as well.
And I feel like that fight just showed how close you all were together. Because I think it was all you guys, or not all you, but a big majority of you guys just ran into the ring and just celebrated all together.
Yeah, yeah, I think you have to. Do you know what I mean? When one of the lads makes it and gets a title like that and wins on that stage, you have to rush. You have to rush the cage, don't you? Jump over the side, wherever you have to do to get into the cage and get that picture at the end. And so yeah, no, it was well deserved.
And how is it having guys like that to try and get that experience from, learn what mistakes they did to be able to avoid that?
Yeah, no, it's brilliant having people like that in the gym who you can look up to, who you can set similar goals as, if you see your own teammates succeeding and achieving that level of success in the gym, then like you can think to yourself, like that's achievable for me as well. It gives you a good bar to set for the whole rest of the club, for all the high level amateurs coming up about to turn pro, for all the pros who are just starting their journey, and all the amateurs and all the novice and all the young kids looking up as well, who that they may be only beginners or just training, but if they stick at it for another couple of years and put the time in and stay disciplined and you know just keep coming to the gym every single day, that's something that they can achieve as well. Because like all of us start as beginners. We couldn't throw a punch, you couldn't finish a takedown, you couldn't do anything. You hadn't a
Yeah.
clue what to do, but it's just that thing is staying disciplined, just showing up every single day. If you show up every single day, you'll get to where you need to go eventually.
And do you feel like this is starting to become like a golden generation for Irish MMA?
Mm.
Obviously, currently in the UFC, you have Conor McGregor that started this. Then you have Shayna Bannon, you have Ian Gary, you have the Lochran, and then you also have just coming up, you have his brother Tiernan in LFL, you have Gur Harris, James Sheenan. It just seems like a lot of good prospects are coming from Ireland. Do you feel like this is your golden generation?
Yeah, I think you're really gonna see, like, in the next, I don't know, year or two, another generation coming up really quickly after the generation that's sort of hitting the scene now. Like really, really good level of Irish fighters in the likes of the shows you've just said there, the promotions said there, the UFC, Bellator, all over the place. You know what I mean? But right now, I think there's a lot of like young lads who have just gone from amateur over to the pro scene. Like about, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 lads who we all would have came up around the same time on the amateur scene, and like that, we're all about to go pro, or we have gone pro all within the year. So it's really exciting. If you're a fan of Irish MMA, and yeah, yeah, I think in the next year or two, you're going to see some big success stories out of a lot of the lads and a lot of the gyms all over the country.
And do you see like this fight as your pro debut as kind of like a reset in your career? You have your amateur career that you can rely on, but your record's now back at 0-0. You can now go again and create that new image.
Yeah, it's like starting a new game, isn't it? On a different difficulty with different rules and stuff like that. Like you said, yeah, I'm 0-0 again at the pro scene. I've garnered a lot of experience at the amateur level. I fought lads who are good enough and were already ready to go pro, but they were just still in that amateur scene. So I don't think it's going to be a huge jump immediately to me. The first, I don't know, 3 or 4 fights, I think I'm going to take in my stride. And then I think I'm going to start to see some serious competition after that. Not overlooking any of the fighters who I may come up against in my first 3 or 4 fights, but like that, I know I can fall back on that experience, all that cage time that I already have
Yeah.
in the cage, and all those stages and all those shows that I've already fought on all over the world. You know, I'm happy that it's a sort of a fresh start in my head. Like I've won my last, I think, 3 out of 4 fights there.
Yeah.
I'm going to this next fight. Like I'm still building off that momentum. I have to build off my own momentum now because I am an 0-0 fighter. If I win this fight, I'm 1-0. So there's still a bit more momentum to gain now on the pro scene. But yeah, like I'm happy. Like I said, I'm excited. I can't wait for this fight to get this out of the way, and then looking forward to a big 2025 as well.
And when you go into the year, do you just take it as it is, or do you have a number of fights you're wanting to do in a year?
I think if every fighter could have it their way, they'd be fighting 4 or 5 times a year, maybe at the pro level. I think at amateur, I think after the pandemic ended and we got fighting and the show started opening up again, I think I fought something like maybe 12 or 13 times in 7 months, maybe. That's an amateur, and that's at like the the what's the what word am I looking for here? You're not being as hard on yourself at amateur. Like you're able to take fights in 3 weeks now, is a fight every month or two. And you're just looking to gain experience there. So what if you win? So if you lose? Sometimes you might be fighting 3 days in a row. You win 2 of those fight out of those 3 days. Like it's not the end of the world if you lose one of those fights. But now at the pro level, you can't just jump on every single fight. You do have to really. There's a lot of thinking and a big sort of thought process that goes into making sure, especially at the beginning of your career, that you do make the right decisions, whether it's going to a certain promotion, whether it's taking a certain fight, whether it's whatever. But yeah, like if I can get 3 or 4 fights next year, perfect. I thought I was going to get about 3 fights this year, but just the way things went,
Yeah.
didn't turn out my way. But everything happens for a reason, and look, I'm looking forward to having this fight, getting in there, putting on a show, like I said, and having a big 2025 as well.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you feel like the difference between MMA and what makes it good is the fact that you can take a defeat and it's not the end of the world. Like, and also the competition, they do like to match make a lot better as in other sports like boxing. Also, you take one defeat in boxing, your stock does drop a lot. And then you'll
Yeah.
also see guys like who are 18-0 face guys who are one win and 15 defeats. Whereas you don't really see that skill difference in MMA. Do you think that's one of the reasons it is a lot better to watch?
Yeah, 100%. Do you know what I mean? Like that. You could see one of your favorite fighters in the world, lose a fight, and it's not the end of the world for them. It's still exciting. Yeah, I think people are more invested in
Yeah,
people's personalities and people's characters. So one loss doesn't define anybody. Whether it's in any sort of sport or any sort of martial art, it does not define anyone. And you learn from. You can only get better. You can't get worse from getting in the cage every single time. Do you know what I mean? And so I completely agree with you there. And I think I seen Donald Cerrone, I think, might be coming back there at
yeah,
41. And
he wants to
like
have two more.
off the top of my head, I could not tell you what Donald Cerrone's fight record is, but I know I'm going to be watching Donald Cerrone fight if he comes back. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that goes to show there.
And how do you, obviously a lot more promotions are starting to do like tournaments, one night tournaments throughout the year tournaments. What's your take on that? Would you like to be part of that?
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. I think it's a great opportunity as well for for fighters to be able to make a name for themselves as well, because it's all good and well, winning your fight on the night of, going home and then doing another,
Yeah,
maybe taking 3 weeks off and then doing another 8 week camp and fighting only, I don't know, twice or 3 times a year. And then there's other fighters who are getting those like two fights in the tournament, winning 50 grand or whatever it is, and then going off and making a big name for themselves and then getting bigger opportunities off that. I think it's a great idea. There's a couple of I think I heard Dana playing with the idea of it for the UFC.
yeah, like
Now
BMF
Cage
bet.
Warriors, yeah, Cage Warriors obviously have done it already. I think that Combat Global, the Latin American promotion
Yeah,
has done it well before. And so yeah, it's exciting. I love the idea of it. I have that experience already at those multi-day tournaments where you could be 2 or 3 times across the weekend, whatever it is. and never anything in the same night. But look, I've fought multiple times within a couple of days, so that'd be something that I definitely would be open to if the opportunity ever arose from yourself.
Am I correct in saying, I think it was 2019, that you went off and did the IMAFs?
Yeah, I've done my first IMAFs. Now I've done the IMAFs a couple of times. That was probably the first IMAFs I done. So like I was really, really early in my amateur career. I think I was only training MMA maybe 2 years or 3 years at that point. And since I think I've done altogether, I done two IMAF competitions, and then in 2022, I went over with the Irish team to find the Super Cup. So in the Super Cup, I would have fought 3 days in a row. I fought the South American IMAF champion. I fought the Oceanic, the Australian IMAF champion, and then I fought the European and world champion in the final. Went all 3 rounds on 3 of those days. I put in a solid 9 round graph with champions from all over the world. All those boys, still have them on social media now. They're all doing really well at pro. So that gives me a sort of showing what my level is to be able to do that, and get wins from it and go the distance as well with some of the other fights. So yeah, no, it's a great, I think, competition for amateurs to get involved with. And it gives those amateurs as well the opportunity to see a bleeding another part of the world you probably
Yeah,
never would have seen if it wasn't for fighting. So it's a great opportunity, and I would recommend people to get involved with those sort of competitions as well.
exactly, because like you're saying, you go over to another part of the world, you're getting that experience of the crowds from the other nations, and you even have people who don't even leave the IMAFs. That's just what they do their whole career. They just fight on the IMAFs. So it is just that even steeper level of competition.
Yeah, yeah.
And how do you value watching tape? Like, where's your study in tape, your viewing tape study?
Hmm. Like, come here, it depends. Like, it doesn't matter how much tape you might watch on a fighter. They could have done like some amount of
Yeah,
development themselves and on their skills within the, I don't know, 2 or 3 months since their last fight. Whenever you watch the tape on, so like I said, no loss or no win defines any fighter. So you can get a sort of an idea of what a fighter's like their sort of their movement, their skill sets, their patterns, things like that. But like that, no single fight is going to define anybody. You can just sort of create an idea of in your head of what to expect in general. So I do keep it at a good standard, and I do sort of respect, watching a bit of tape on a fighter and some videos, some clips, some stuff like that. But MMA, anything can happen on the night. Absolutely anything at all. You have to be ready for anything, and me myself, I'm ready for anything to happen on the night. And I don't care where the fight's gonna go, whether it's stand up, whether it's on the ground. I'm super confident in every single area.
exactly. And I know you're going to go out there, smash it, get that victory, and on to bigger and better things. Well, I'll let you have the final word. Is there anything you're wanting to add or anything else you're wanting to shout out?
No, just I think on November. Sorry, the lights at the corner in the Carter. Yeah, no, I think just on November 2nd, I think there's like a lot of other fighters from the gym fighting as well. It's gonna be myself and Graham Sheehan on the Clan Wars card. Um, on yeah, up in Belfast. We're gonna have Saul as well over in Rome for Cage Warriors. And I think there's plenty of other Irish fighters going and fighting as well on the night as well, and Cage Warriors and all over the place. So it's going to be a busy night anyway for Irish MMA.
Exactly. Well, thank you for coming on, and I can't wait to see you get that victory.
Thanks for having me, Scott.